When people think of zombies, they only really think of modern times, as usually some virus or plague causes the undead to rise from their graves. Unfortunately for John Marston in the Wild West, the zombies decided to rise a little bit early. Hey there everyone, this is Ray Carcillo for Classic Game Room, and today we're looking at the Undead Nightmare expansion pack for Red Dead Redemption on Xbox 360 from Rockstar Games.
But it'll take more than an apocalypse to take me down.
A mighty storm begins brewing near the Marston Ranch, and Uncle, the drunken farmhand that lends John and his family help in exchange for a place to stay, is nowhere to be found. Not willing to brave the storm, the Marstons hope Uncle made it to a safe haven in the city for the night. Then, in the middle of the night, while John and his wife are in their skivvies, Uncle comes stumbling in, covered in blood and lacerations. Immediately he begins giving chase and bites John's wife, who in turn immediately bites their son. John's left with no choice and puts Uncle out of his misery, but soon realizes he's got two new problems on his hands and has to promptly hogtie his family before heading to town in hopes someone can explain this weird fever that has befallen them. John has no idea just how deep this new adventure will go, though, or how far this fever has spread as he rides off his ranch. I admit that I was a little hesitant when I heard a zombie invasion was heading for Red Dead Redemption. It just seemed out of place, and I was curious to how it would work. But never doubt those boys and girls at Rockstar. And you can't help but fall in love with many of the crazy characters that John had to deal with in the main game all over again. From the crazy gravedigger Seth, who keeps one of the zombies as a pet, to the traveling salesman Nigel West Dickens, John will need to enlist all their help once more to overcome these abominations to nature. Using many of the same game mechanics and controls of the first game, from breaking horses to using Deadeye to pick off enemies in a crowd, there are a handful of new toys at John's disposal. The first and most important is your torch. With infinite flame, lighting the zombies on fire is just as effective as a slug to the head, especially when the horde really starts to gang up on you. Unfortunately, no matter how far you get in the main game, you can't transport your weapons and ammo over into Undead Nightmare because part of the challenge laid out before you is that there are no merchants to buy supplies from. You'll need to scavenge off dead zombies and make nice with survivors if you wish to keep your guns loaded, which makes the torch even more crucial to survival. Aside from this, there are also fantastic new creatures to deal with. From hunting Sasquatch, on top of zombie bears and wolves, to breaking the four horses of the apocalypse. This Armageddon theme works very well for Red Dead Redemption. There are also regular zombie horses to break. And these regular zombie horses have advantages as well, like that their stamina never runs out due to the fact that they're already dead. These new nuances aside, Undead Nightmare feels much like the main game, just with a lot more horror overtones as you move from city to city on the frontier and try to clear out their zombie problem. What's really impressive is that in the larger towns, obviously there will be larger zombie hordes, yet the world of Red Dead still maintains its amazing details without an ounce of lag. When you talk about the great details of Red Dead Redemption, and now add in the amazingly real-looking zombies, and the looks of the game are superb. And rounding out the always impressive peripherals from Rockstar, is the return of all the voice actors from the main game, along with the great script writing, as John Marston's good intentions still have him putting his foot in his mouth more often than not. Throw in some haunting melodies to set a much more ominous mood than the main game, and Undead Nightmare has more of a survival horror feel than you might expect. Although there are far less missions than the main game, there are still new strangers to help out, and new survivalist quests as well, upping the replay value far above that of your average expansion pack. Not to mention trying to clear out every town and territory zombie infestation to add a little extra difficulty. You forget how big Red Dead Redemption is until you have to visit every town in a short amount of time, armed with just a 6-shooter and a torch. Not even to mention all the new features added to the multiplayer, like extra levels, and modes like a Gears-esque horde mode, where you have to fend off wave after wave of flesh-eating undead hillbillies. Undead Nightmare is a fun twist on the survival horror genre, and is more than worth its launch time price of $10, or 800 Microsoft points, due to its tightness as a third-person shooter, its compelling characters, and its great replay value.